It's so sunny in here.
Oh, look at you.
So, I look. You should have told me.
I didn't know. All right, let's do it.
That's always the voicemail they leave me.
Just delete it.
No, I know, but I'm kind of scared.
All this hair in the background.
What?
Okay.
Hello? Oh, it's going.
Yes. All right, let's do it. Okay. All right. Well,
what's up?
First episode of this podcast. All right. I'm Shalom.
I'm Sherryl
Bako.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Are you gonna say your last name?
We're both Bakos. This is my sister.
That's right. What's up?
And first episode of this podcast thing we're gonna do.
Does it have a name?
Or at least you and my. Not yet.
Okay.
But presented by Dreams and Ambition.
That's right.
All right. Stop yawning.
Sorry.
All right. So we're just gonna talk about our experience.
Life, African things.
Right. Okay. So why don't you go first? Introduce yourself.
So I'm Sherryl Bako. I'm Shalom's sister, and I'm a aspiring musician with many interesting jobs in the journey of pursuing music. And yeah.
Okay. That's good. And I'm Shalom, older brother.
That's right.
And
yeah.
That's right. See, a lot of people don't. You know, it's funny. People, like, when you look at soccer players, they go by, like, Yaya Toure or Yaya this. And it's such an African thing, but it's not only to Nigerians. And I've gone by that my entire, like, it's funny that that's what I went by most of my life.
That's so funny. For people who don't know what we're referencing, Yaya means, like, older brother. So my whole life growing up, I couldn't just call him Shalom. I have to call him Yaya Shalom.
Right.
Clearly, I don't do that anymore.
But it's funny because, you know, now I don't go by that. So if I told someone, oh, my name is Yaya this or something, maybe I should put that, like, on my soccer jersey.
Maybe.
It's, like, on the back.
Maybe.
Yaya Bako or something.
Again, maybe.
Anyways. Well, I'm Shalom. And let's see. We moved from Nigeria. I was 14.
I was 10.
You were 10?
Mm-hmm. We're 4 years apart.
Yeah, I know. But it's crazy.
It's math.
Thanks. So, yeah, we moved from Nigeria at pretty much some critical ages.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much we're going to talk a little bit about our experiences since moving to the U.S., some of the differences and cultural dynamics that we go through within our family, how that differs in Nigeria versus how it differs here. And specifically, we come from northern Nigeria.
Yes.
So that's unique in itself and different, I feel, than most other Nigerian experiences. So maybe we can even start there, because I feel like being northern Nigerian is very, very different to being southern Nigerian. And obviously not to divide us up, but, you know, 90% of the Nigerians you meet
in America are,
I feel like in most of the world,
maybe,
are from southern Nigeria, not from northern.
And the distinction, again, isn't to be divisive, but there's a bigger distinction of that in Nigeria than people would acknowledge here in America. Like in America, you're just, oh, you're Nigerian, I have a Nigerian friend, you know? But in Nigeria, there is a huge distinction between the different regions. Not saying it's right or wrong, but there just is. So most people believe that northern people in Nigeria are mostly Muslim and mostly, would you say, is uneducated the word? That people have...
Not as literate.
Yeah, people think northern people aren't as literate. People think all northern people are Hausa. And there's just certain, what's the word?
And you gotta tell people what Hausa is.
And Hausa is, so like each region has like a regional language, you know? But Hausa, there's just certain people that are.
And how many regions
Hausa,
are there?
as in like north, south, east.
Okay, so there's 3. Obviously, so let's give them a little background on Nigeria.
You do that.
Okay. So in Nigeria, you have 3 main languages. Well, 4 technically, but 3 major tribal languages.
Mm-hmm.
Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba.
Uh-huh.
So we're considered Hausa, and that's mostly northerners. And then you have Igbo and Yoruba, usually southerners.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so those are really distinctions.
Mm-hmm. And with each of those regions, there are certain characteristics that people believe they have. So, anyways, all that to say is people don't believe a lot of Hausa northern people come to America. Right?
I'd agree.
What?
I'd agree.
Yeah.
I have a theory on why, too.
What's your theory?
Well, because most northerners are Muslim. Muslims, I mean, America is not really a land for Muslims.
But that's mostly recent. I mean...
No.
You don't think, like, since 9/11?
I think even prior to that. I just don't think...
I don't think prior to that either.
America's not really... doesn't really cater to, you know, the Muslim religion as much. More European countries, I mean, do.
Maybe.
That's just my theory.
I don't know any details about that. Anyways, all that to say is, so our experience of moving here was probably different than most Nigerian American immigrants, right? Because 1, the circumstances with which we moved here, and then 2, we were from the north, and so even when you meet someone here in America that is Nigerian, you're not necessarily like, oh my gosh, everything about our lifestyle is the same. Usually people are like, oh my gosh, I've never met one of you. I've never met a Hausa person. I've heard about you, and then they tell you all the stereotypes that they've heard about northerners, and you're like, well, that's wrong. But so it's just even a different experience being from the north. But
yeah, so let's talk about those stereotypes. So illiterate. I don't
really know. Yeah, illiterate, like kind of shady.
You know why? No, that's more a southern thing.
No, but they think like not shady in like a scam you way. But like I don't know, like they think you're poor and like on the street. Don't they think like Hausa people go around selling for?
Well,
even though
yeah.
Also to differentiate, we're also not Hausa because there are Hausa people.
Yeah.
We are from the north and we speak Hausa, but we are not Hausa people.
Yeah.
We are Tangale. Did I say that right? So we have a tribe that we're from, and that's actually what we would say we're Tangale people.
Right.
But for the sake of generalization, and usually when we meet people,
you just say, oh.
You say you're from the north, or, you know.
And we speak Hausa.
Yeah, do you speak Igbo, Yoruba? I speak Hausa.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. So
I don't really know the stereotypes. I honestly kind of...
So here's the stereotypes. I'll give it to you. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, that's fine.
So the stereotypes really are northerners. Well, we have this whole dynamic, right? North versus south, and it's very deeply rooted back to like prior to our independence. So it goes back to this whole thing of geographically, northern Nigeria is inland. Southern Nigeria is coastal. And sort of the way colonists came into Africa is through the coast. So when they came through the coast, the southern part of Nigeria interacted with Westerners first.
Okay.
And so that's how they got That's why like the first school in Nigeria is like 18 something, and it's in southern Nigeria. So like a lot of Western education was filtered into Nigeria through the South, and that's why the Southerners are more educated historically or literate in the sense of Western education because they interacted with Westerners much earlier.
I didn't know.
Hence also the whole slave trade thing, because that's how it came. But in the North, we're more herdsmen, nomads, and we're inland. That's why we're more into agriculture and horses and the way we fight. Everything about our culture has to do more with land rather than water. And so when it came to, so when the colonists started going inland more into Nigeria, and they tried to, once they start interacting with us northerners, who are more Hausa and Muslim, it's a totally different religion from the southerners, because southerners really accepted Christianity first and early.
Or like tribal.
Right. And so, but northerners were fighters. So that's really when...
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Yeah. So that's really when the British started finding out that their men were dying. And then that's when Nigeria had to become a unified country. And they had to do something about unifying the North and the South.
Oh, I did not know this. You know what's crazy? Like, well, I mean, I learned this like in high school, like the Marcus Garvey movement, and just people thinking the solution to division is like, oh, then let's just go back to Africa, or all black people being together. But it's crazy how division, you can find division even when you all look the same, and when you all, like, I don't know, it's just crazy, because you think divisiveness, like with everything that's going on in America right now, you think, oh, it's only because of skin color or like race. But I just think there's something, I mean, I'm not saying it's natural to the human, or maybe it is. There's just something that, how can you all be African in the same country and still find stereotypes to stereotype each other and divide yourself? And
I think it goes back to the tribal thing.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, especially from the American perspective, a lot of people can't even fathom that when all the same race is in one place, they can't fathom, like, racism or, you know, stereotyping. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just saying it is possible. Like, it's deeper than just even color, because then when you put all one color together, then you find it, you do it based on region or tribe or education, and then, or classism, you know.
Right. There's always something.
There's always, it's just, but it's mind-blowing to me, because I'm like, what? Why? And I also learned this fact last week, how all humans, even with different races or whatever, the most difference genetically between us is like 0.001 or something crazy. Like DNA genetics.
I didn't know that.
It is less than 0.01 or maybe 0.001. So, anyways, it's just crazy interesting.
But yeah, so going back to, I guess now we've given a little bit of background in northern Nigeria, and we can do more, but maybe some other time. So how was it moving from Nigeria to America? Well, first of all, we lived in Abuja.
Yeah, also when we say Nigeria, people think like, oh, you came from the village and moved to like a civilized society. We were in a civilized city, which Abuja is the capital. Grew up very taken care of and well off. So, so I mean, I guess what part of the transition you would be asking. Also, how many days do we have?
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that, and then we'll also talk about, because we also have some differences.
You and I?
Yeah, in the way, for sure. Even in the way we grew up, even growing up in the same family, we still had differences in where we grew up.
Shalom thinks he has like more of the Nigerian experience, which like kind of.
There's no such thing as more of the Nigerian. It is
different. Okay,
Okay, most of your time was spent in Abuja. Most of my time was spent in Jos.
But I mean, I started in driving since I was 5.
Yeah,
I've started boarding.